I'm John Mann. I've been in legal practice for the past 45 years. I started practice in the Hawkesbury as an article clerk with a firm called William Walker and Son, who had been established in the Hawkesbury in 1863. In more recent times, the past 18 months, I've joined Turner Freeman Lawyers, and I hold the position of special counsel, and primarily I am based at Penrith. I've been an accredited specialist in property law for the past 20 years and an accredited specialist in wills and estates law for the past 16 years. I wanted to become a lawyer, but probably very late in my education. I did the last leaving certificate in 1965 and I was only 15, and I was unable to get into law at that stage because you had to be a certain age to get into the university. So at that point I went to the University of New South Wales. I did a degree there, and later I thought, well, I'd carry on with law studies because my father was encouraging me to do so, and having got to that point and having spent nearly 7 years at university, there I was. Almost exclusively I practice in wills and estates law. I do some property law. The main reason for that is it's my background. I was trained in those things. I can go back to old system conveyancing when titles were common law. I've dealt with all manner of probate applications and wills cases, and that's what I do. I've been an accredited specialist in property law for 20 years and an accredited specialist in wills and estates law for 16 years. I have been a member of a number of Law Society committees, including Professional Conduct Committee and Property Law Committee. I am a current member of the Accreditation Advisory Board in Wills and Estates Law, and that is the board that sets the examinations for candidates wishing to undertake the accreditation. Accreditation is something that's been offered by the Law Society to promote excellence in a particular field of legal practice. It involves, first of all, a considerable length of time in practice, a considerable amount of time spent in that particular field, and then having to pass examinations of various types and tests. And having done that, you're then given an accreditation by the Law Society. The accreditation in regards to wills and estates, there's only myself and one other who hold that accreditation in Western Sydney. When clients come to see me, very often it's a difficult time for them. Someone in the family has passed away. Sometimes they might be facing that prospect themselves. People are not used to the law as it applies to wills and estates, and it's often difficult for them to reconcile a situation they find themselves in. I can help them with that by giving them advice on what their legal situation is, what possible solutions there might be to their problems. Emotional help is far more difficult because this is something that people have to deal with for themselves over a period of time. Time's a great healer in that regard. I get satisfaction in being able to help people with their problems. It's never easy when someone else has passed away, or if you're dealing with an estate or arguing about an estate, and I hopefully can give people that comfort because it's always a difficult time and they need to have some assurance as to what the situation might be, what the future might hold. That gives me the great satisfaction. Turner Freeman's success, I think, harks back to a very old-fashioned word, professional. Professional carries the implication of competence, value and knowledge and skill. Now, Turner Freeman's able to provide all these things so that a client with difficulties or problems can have their legal needs met in the most simple way in the most cost-effective way. And I think that's the reason for their success over the years. My proudest memory as a lawyer, I think, would be two things. One was my admission on the 150th anniversary of the Supreme Court. The other moment would be in a case where the forfeiture rule, which is something that probate lawyers have to deal with, became an important legal point. Forfeiture applies where somebody is unlawfully killed by somebody else, and that person who did the killing is in some way prevented from obtaining benefit from the person that they killed. That was a very big moment because that meant government legislation, Act of Parliament, to fill a gap that existed in the law. I think the most rewarding part of my job as a lawyer is to be able to provide advice and the benefit of my knowledge to clients to solve their problems. Lawyers, in the end, that's their function, is to help people out of their difficulties, solve problems, and doing that, I think, is the most satisfying part of the job.